Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Penny Nichols, and she played Denise in the upcoming indie fan film slasher Valentine Bluffs. Hey Penny, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's really great to be on, Scotty. This is
Awesome. I'm
great.
glad to have you on. I'm so glad that I am really glad. I know you're from my part of the DMV area. I'm in Woodlawn, Maryland. I know you're in that area
I'm
somewhere.
in Towson.
Nice. That's not
So
far at
that was
all.
like 20 minutes
That's
on
awesome.
695.
Yep. I think I may have found you on Facebook because I saw you were in Valentine Bluffs and a couple of other things. And I believe I saw you in probably one of the local DMV acting groups. I don't know if I added you or you added me, but either way,
I probably added you.
you might have, and I'm glad you did. And I had you on my list for a while, and then I saw you were in Valentine Bluffs, and I'm like, that would be a good thing to talk about.
Good. Yes.
Absolutely. So, first question I got for you isn't about Valentine Bluffs, but it's how did you get your start into acting?
How long is this episode? um,
We have as long as you need.
way back when there was dinosaurs. No, I was I was a ballet dancer starting at 4. So 4
Okay.
or 5 I was doing dancing.
Nice.
And then I did musical theater starting at 11.
Okay.
Then at the same time when I was going to high school, I went to Peabody, and then I went to Indiana University
Hmm.
for ballet. And then I came back to Towson University for choreography
Hmm.
and dance and performing arts. And then in my 20s, I was doing dinner theater, and then someone said, "Hey, why don't you go into film? Try to start it out." And at that time, there wasn't a branch, a SAG-AFTRA branch here, and they wanted to have more actors, film actors in the area, and so there started to be a lot of film, like Barry Levinson, and then John Waters was doing stuff. And so I auditioned for John Waters' Hairspray. I didn't get in, but I met Pat Moran, who was really fantastic casting director. Um, and then I auditioned for Barry Levinson, Tinman. That was my first
Okay.
principal role. And I was able to get into that film.
Nice.
It was a comedy, but the scene I'm in is a drama.
Right.
I was like, what? And they didn't tell me what was going to happen to Tinman. This is one
Nice.
thing. There's only 4 of us in the room in Catonsville. That's where it was shot,
Okay.
in Catonsville, and it was Richard Dreyfuss that's sitting next to me, and then
Nice.
across is John Mahoney, who played in Dad Frasier. He played the dad,
Yep.
and then Mike Willis, who played my husband, and John and Richard Dreyfuss are trying to sell us aluminum siding. And then Barry Levinson is the director writer, and he's like right there directing. So there's like only 5 people in there. And so Richard Dreyfuss turns to me and says, "So, where are you from? New York, LA?" And I went, "Baltimore." So that's how I started.
That's awesome. And it's crazy that a film like that was in Catonsville, like Richard Dreyfuss and all that, because Catonsville is only like 10 minutes, not even from me. Like that's amazing.
Well, Barry Levinson is from there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's from
Okay.
Maryland, and I think he lived around that area. I could
That's
be
awesome.
wrong, but yeah, so
Yeah.
he knows the area really
Nice.
well.
I'm only from Maryland. I've only been in Maryland for about 2.5 years now. I moved here when I got a job with the U.S. Coast Guard. But I'm originally from a very small place in the sticks of Pennsylvania called Ashland. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. So I go
Coast
home.
Guard. So you were on the boat, right?
I'm not like active duty. I'm in an office. I'm the senior web developer, so I make sure that like their search and rescue missions are successful. Like I program their intranets and their items and all their stuff that allows them to access all of the like hoses and the cutters and all that stuff, and they can like do the databases, all that.
Right. You're like all like the background right before
Yes.
they shoot out to do stuff.
Exactly.
Like, where's that hose?
Exactly.
Let's
So
call Scotty.
right, without me, then they don't have a mission.
Where's the anchor?
Absolutely. So we know you're involved with Valentine Bluffs. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure principal photography wrapped on that already.
It did.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with Valentine Bluffs?
So that was really great and interesting about that. Christina Munn is an actor in the area, and she's also in Valentine's Bluff. And we did a student film at Stevenson University a while back. And so she recommended me to Tom Smith.
Nice.
So, you know, it's really kind of word of mouth, and the film community is a small community, you know, and stuff like that. So I'm always beholden to her for letting me, you know, get to meet Tom and get on the film.
Absolutely. Did you work with Nikolai Cabana at all?
No, I saw your podcast. I didn't. I worked with, and do you mind if I read my notes?
Nope,
I'm sorry.
That's perfectly fine.
so Christina Munn is the one that recommended me, and then Tom got in touch with me, and he couldn't have been more gracious. Okay. And I think it's very interesting when you have he was the writer, producer, director, and does special effects.
Nice.
He does a lot. So, and then Chuck Ryan and Roland Keller are also producers. And then John Picos, he was the DP. Plus, he also is a filmmaker in his own right. And then Liz Saladoriga, she was the first AD. Really, she's from New York and has done quite a lot. And then Brandon Leipart, he was sound, he's excellent. And the people that I was working on set as actors was Rachel Keefe, she's from Philadelphia. So this whole crowd is from really the Pennsylvania area.
Nice.
And they are so wonderful, so professional, and have so much knowledge in the filmmaking business. Mike Sutton, who is a really seasoned actor. If you look on his IMDb page, he's done tons of films, independent films and series. And he got cast in We Own the City. He was talking about that when we were on set.
That's awesome.
And then Mike Kramer, he was another person that I was doing a scene with Mike Sutton. And that was his first film. And his wife and they both help run a theater company. And so he just got cast on this thing, and he could pick up copy. And it's really hard to go from stage to film, because stage you're so big, and then film you're so much smaller because the screen is so tiny. No problem with, I called him the two mics. And then Michael Johnson, do you know Michael Johnson?
Sounds familiar.
Oh my gosh, he's done a ton of things too. I met him on when I produced and did crew for a short film. Michael Johnson is also in the Philly area, and he's also a filmmaker and writer. And then Jeff Swisher, who played my husband, he couldn't have been more gracious.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
My part started off really small. Which was fine. Right. It was a big thing and stuff. It would start off small. And what happened, like in everything in film, you have to be flexible because things happen. So Jeff, who played my husband, couldn't come to one of the shoot dates because he was going to a wedding. And so Tom called me up 2 weeks before and says, "Hey, are you available this date also, besides the other scenes that you're doing?" I said, "Sure." Sure. And all of a sudden he says, "Okay, it's because he's the writer. We're rewriting this and we're putting you in the scene." Well, the scene, I can't tell you really technically what's going on in the film, but it's a scene that any actor would die to have.
Nice.
Die to have. It is dramatic. It was like, I went, oh.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I the worst part I think about filmmaking is the scheduling, because anything can happen at any time, and that every time I have to make a movie, like when my company makes the movie, it's a nightmare, the scheduling, because people are backing out and we have to find suitable replacements if they can't do the film literally like days before filming starts. It can become an utter nightmare, and it's good, like you said, you gotta be flexible.
You got to be flexible. You
Yeah.
got to be like, you know, if the director is reaching out to you to help, you know, you got to back out those fears and say, okay,
Right.
onward.
Absolutely. And I'm in that boat of doing those fears, because I'm like, I don't think I'd be a good director. But I'm thinking, well, if I'm making a movie and I don't have anybody to direct it, if you want the movie made, you gotta step in and at least try it.
Yes.
You know, you don't know until you actually give it a shot.
If you quit, you're already failing.
Exactly. Good point. Very, very good point. Now, where did you film a Valentine Bluffs at? Was that in Jim Thorpe?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Was it in Jim Thorpe? I thought
I'm telling you, I reached out to Christina because I'm coming from Baltimore. So I reached out to her and I said, so where, because she filmed a couple weeks before I did. And I said, so where are you filming? You know, is it Philadelphia? You know, where? And she said, it's everywhere. They must have had like, when I was filming, I was like in 3 or 4 locations.
Wow.
And I did not realize how big Pennsylvania is.
It is.
Because I mean, we filmed somewhere where it was right up there next to New Jersey. We were in New Jersey for a half a second, a minute, and then we came back down. But yeah, even on the same day, there would be 2 or 3 different locations.
Yep. Yeah, and people don't realize that, like, because I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and people ask me, they're like, so have you been to Pittsburgh? I'm like, no. They're like, well, you're in Pennsylvania. Why have you never been to Pittsburgh? I'm like, because Pittsburgh is 6 hours from the part of Pennsylvania I'm in.
That's right. And it's like New York and Pennsylvania are like this. So you're like this going, I'm in New York. No, I'm in Pennsylvania. No, I'm in New Jersey. Yes, it's a big state.
It is. It really is. And like even when I moved to Baltimore, I'm thinking like I'm in Woodlawn, and they're telling me I'm in Baltimore. I'm like, no, I'm in Woodlawn. They're like, you're in Baltimore County. I'm like, I thought Baltimore was Baltimore. They're like, no, Baltimore County and Baltimore City are different things. I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
Wait a minute, I was going through and driving, and there's the red light, and hello, welcome to Baltimore County.
Yeah, when I first put in my address and everything, I'm putting in Baltimore, and I'm thinking I'm gonna be living in the city and everything, and here I'm in like the suburb outside of the city in Baltimore County. I'm like, this isn't Baltimore, and I'm like, oh, this is a county. This is an actual county. This isn't the county is definitely different than the city.
It is.
It's confusing if you don't know the area.
Yeah, it is like Hamden. You wouldn't say Baltimore. You wouldn't say Baltimore City. You say I'm living in Hamden. Oh, but isn't that Baltimore City? Wait.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
I'm in Locust Point. Wait a minute.
So for those that are unaware of what Valentine Bluffs is about, can you give us like a brief synopsis of this movie so people can know what this movie is about?
Let me go to my notes, please.
Sounds good. I know Nikolai had to do the same thing because they don't want too much to be revealed, which is completely understandable.
Right. Definitely. So I'm going to do a little bit more because I'll different stuff than what he did. So it's not a repeat and stuff like that. Perfect. So this is a fan film for My Bloody Valentine, Valentine's Bluff, and it's 40 years later. Okay, stuff like that, and it's picking up from there. And I think what's interesting about the way it started is that Tom would go to these horror conventions, and people were always, because either he would do makeup for, or hear about Bloody Valentine, and there were a lot of fans looking for a sequel. And so he was like, gee, maybe we should do a sequel. All the fans want a sequel. And then he met Chuck Ryan on one of those conventions. And he says, what do you think? Do you think it would be good if we did maybe a fan film? And he said, yeah. And he said he went back and he wrote the script in 2 weeks.
Nice.
And he's a really good writer.
Nice.
So he's a makeup artist. But more than that, he's really a good writer.
If you're writing a script in 2 weeks and it comes out good, you gotta be a good writer to make it come out good.
He unbelievable. And you're right. And he sent the script to Chuck, and Chuck says, I'm in. And Chuck is from Wisconsin.
Nice.
So,
Nice. That's awesome.
so he's like, hey. So yeah, so within 2 weeks, and you can tell with the writing with like new writers. I'm not a writer, so I don't want to be too picky, but if you see writing and it's so hard to go, I think, for screenwriting is like you have to write less, you show more than tell.
Yeah.
So sometimes people write it almost like a play, or sometimes they write it like a book. And Tom didn't do that at all. He really had his dialogue very tight, so every word mattered.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what a lot of screenwriters struggle with, and that's why films aren't as good as they sound when they're in writing, because it's one thing having it in writing and envisioning it this way. It's another way when an actor has to bring it to life. And that's why they always say show more than tell, like show don't tell. Like you want to show it with your actions, not with your words, because if you make it, like I would say, quote unquote, word vomit, then people are going to tune out and it's not going to come across as good as it could if it's being shown.
It doesn't sound like dialogue, real dialogue. And everybody's not doing monologues,
right? It'll sound like a theater play instead of an actual film. And that's the difference between film and a big difference between film and theater. You don't want to really memorize your lines and script per se. You want to get the gist of it and then make it your own, be more natural. You're not on a stage performing a really well-known play. Right. Yeah. So your character, her name is Denise. So can you tell us a little bit about Denise and who she is and what we can expect without spoiling too much?
Well, she's a mom.
Okay.
And she's worried about her child.
Okay. Sounds good. That's all you can say. Well, for those
but isn't that universal? So I think it's great that, people that I think with a horror film, that if you can make it more universal and more relatable to the audience, it becomes scarier.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So if something looks like, that can't happen, that can't happen. Like this story it can happen. Yeah. And that's what's the frightening part about it.
Absolutely.
Worried about your child and what is happening to your child, and you can't get in touch with your child.
Here is a very good example. Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. You have Tina Shepard with telekinetic powers, and her mom is taking her to the Camp Crystal Lake to be seen by her doctor there to, because of her father's death and everything. And you think that the mom and the daughter are going to be the ones to team up to kind of take down Jason, like they're going to be the surviving duo, because the mom has no faults really of her own. She's a good mother and everything. She really loves her daughter. It shocked me when the mom was killed. It shocked me when the mom was actually killed. So when you think of it that way, you think of Susan Bluth's character, Mrs. Shepard. What is she? She is a mother, a caring, devout mother. When you look at your character, you said, I'm a mom. Well, you're a mom. Like now, okay, we think of all these other films that have moms. What does that mean for this mom? What does it mean for this child? Like, it really leaves a lot to the imagination, and it makes people want to see this movie. They want to see what's going to happen to this mother.
And there are a lot of moms out there, and there are a lot of daughters out there, and there are a lot of, parent relationships and stuff like that. And when you don't know, like, once I became a mom, I got the big W. I worried. I was so into myself before I had a kid. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, just like losing my son in like the grocery store. Oh my God, someone, So yeah,
absolutely.
Everybody can relate to that fear.
Yeah. So have you seen My Bloody Valentine before filming this?
Yes.
Okay. Classic movie.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love it.
Oh, yes.
So many death scenes that had to get cut because of the graphic nature is impressive.
Because it came out so long ago, right?
Yeah.
I bet a lot of this would go now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Director's cut, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So what was for being an actor, what do you believe personally is the hardest and the easiest part of being an actor?
Not acting.
Is that the answer to both?
I think that, so the first question is, how is it being, what's tough about being an actor and stuff like that? I think also I really like to audition. In fact, if I don't, I really love the audition process. I love the rehearsal process. I think when I get to the like on set, I'm like,
Right. Right.
but I chill back on that. I've gotten better with that, but I really do love auditioning.
Okay.
And even if I don't get the role, it's always a great opportunity to perform and meet
Yeah.
people and stuff like that. So I really love acting. I just love
Absolutely.
it.
So let's bounce off of that now. About the audition process, if there is any aspiring actors or actresses out there watching this interview, do you have any advice or tips for them about how to properly audition and what to feel if they do say get rejected? Because that is a lot of what happens in the acting industry is rejection.
So I think if you get an audition, you've already won. Just to get the audition, even just to submit.
Yeah,
is really good that you find something. Dragon Connects, there's a lot of auditions there. There's Backstage that I'm on. There's Actors Access.
yeah.
I think it's good to take acting classes that are so important to help you, because acting on film and acting on stage are totally two different things.
They are.
They really are. And if you get an acting coach, it's so important. You know what I mean? And then that person and to take a lot of different classes and stuff like that. And I think that's when you feel comfortable. And then meeting other actors and talking to them about, and not think about the rejection, just think about you're not right for the role. Since I've done producing before, I really learn a lot being from, working behind the camera. I realized that maybe, I didn't get the role because I didn't look like the daughter that's being cast.
Right.
Or, it's just so many, or who knows, the film is not being produced right now because whatever reason. So you'll never know why you didn't hear back, but it usually has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with the production.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are very talented actors out there that don't get the part, like you said, because they either don't look for like the part, or they're not in the age for that part, or they wanted somebody younger, or maybe the casting call said like somebody that is 30 to 35 and you are 33, but maybe you look too young for the part, or maybe they're adjusting the character now to be 20 to 25. So there is a lot of things that can go into it. So it's not really about you're a bad actor, you're a horrible actor.
Like for example, I got cast in like last February in a short film, and I've been working with the director and the producer, and then they had to reach out to me like a month ago saying, so sorry, but we have written out the parents because of budget restraints. And I understood completely. I said, because I've been on that other side where, you only have so much money and you have so much time and you have so much crew to work with. I said, I understand completely. Because I work behind the camera.
Yeah, and I said that in so many
invaluable.
interviews, is that with filmmaking, money is the primary way to make a movie, because you need the money to have the cast, to have the crew, to have the effects, to have all that you need, the props and everything. And without the money, you're not going to have a good movie, if a movie at all. It really is a very important factor of filmmaking.
Right, especially pre-production, during production, and post-production. I think people think that if you just make the money just for the filming of the principal photography, it's not, it's more than that. It's money before, during, and after.
Exactly. Because not like if you're a director and a writer and an effect guy, just like you were mentioning about, I forgot his name off the top of my head. You were talking about, I think he was with Valentine Bluff. Like he might do it all, but maybe he's not a good editor. So you need to hire an editor.
You mean Tom Smith, right?
Yes, Tom Smith.
Yes.
Yes. I couldn't think, the name was going out of me for a second. But yeah, he might not say he's not a good editor. So you have to outsource that in post-production. So now you need money for the editor to do the movie. In pre-production, you need the editor for the movie poster, or if you're not a writer, you might need the money for the writing, or if you're not an effects person, or even if you are an effects person, you need the money for the supplies to make the effects.
Right.
So it's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
It keeps adding up. It's like, okay, I think I got everything I need. But then also, if you think about it, there's something completely different. Like not regarding the filmmaking process that you need money for, and that's feeding your cast and crew.
Right.
It's not to make the movie, but you need to make sure your cast and crew are fed.
Right.
Not even just because of legal reasons, but also because
just to keep them
how are they going to
going
perform?
physically.
Yeah, they need their nourishment.
Right. And you have to, and sometimes you need to pay for those locations.
Yeah, you do. Exactly. Some locations you might be good enough to be able to film for free or whatever, but there are certain places that you might need to rent out, whether it's a house or a hotel or something that you, like some place of land that, you know, that you need to get permission and you need to pay to rent that place out. And sometimes they're cheap, sometimes they're free, and sometimes they're pretty expensive.
They are,
So
yeah. I think it's what's interesting is that a couple of films that I've done during the year is that they've a lot of creative filmmakers have done. They've rented Airbnbs or rented houses.
Yeah,
this is really that houses are for sale, so they
nice.
get to the realtor and say, "Hey, can I come in?"
Clever though.
Isn't that a great idea? Yeah.
Very.
And
I love
then
that.
they can. So those Airbnbs really work out great because you can film in the place. Plus, you can have your crew and your actors stay there.
That's actually not a bad idea at all. That's very clever thinking. And I mean, and it's not as expensive as renting out a hotel for everybody and, you know, all that stuff. Like, it's really a very clever way to manage your money and also to properly, like, iron out your production of your filming location and where your cast and crew get to sleep. That's a very good idea. I like that. So I'm assuming you are a horror fan, correct?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So which horror film or franchise is your favorite, and which horror film and franchise got you're starting to becoming a fan?
Okay, wait a minute. I have, let me get this. Here, hold on. I have my list. Hold on. I love Friday the 13th. I mean, I love that one.
Had so many cast and crew from that entire franchise in the show. I freaking love it. Love it.
I love it. So the films, so I just love Friday the 13th, and I love Jamie Curtis. I mean, look where her career went, huh?
Yeah.
The Freaky Friday. I mean, right? She was
Halloween.
Oh,
yes, Halloween.
Well, I like that one too.
Yes, not a problem.
Okay.
Actually, I'll tell you a funny story about that before
Why
you continue.
is Friday the 13th? Wait a minute. One's the camp, and then one's
Halloween is the babysitter murders.
Babysitter murders. Okay, gosh.
Yes. Funny story about that though, because he played Tommy Jarvis, Corey Feldman. He was auditioning for Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, as Tommy Jarvis. But when he was in his audition, I guess his agent or whatever came up to him asking him for an audition for this role, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I absolutely love Michael Myers." And yeah, it happens to the best of us because they are very similar, because Friday the 13th literally is, I would say, a quote unquote cheap knockoff of Halloween.
Oh.
Yeah. And Sean Cunningham, the director of the first one and creator of the franchise, even went as much as to say is he stole Halloween and made Friday the 13th from that premise. Yeah.
So it's legit that I'm getting them confused.
It really is. From the camera angle.
I like both of them. I like both of them. Yeah. And I also like Scream.
Oh, that's awesome. Scream is awesome. Scream 5 coming out in January. You hear about that? I think it's January.
Wait a minute. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So wait a minute. Hold on. Yes, Scream 20. I think it's. Hold on. Wait a minute. I
can't remember the date, but I know it's early January.
I have it. Wait a minute.
Oh, there you go.
Scream January 14th, 2022.
Yep. And we know Courtney Cox is returning. David Arquette and Neve Campbell are all returning. So is Marley Shelton from the fourth one.
But I guess Drew Barrymore is not?
She's not. Nope, she gone.
Not even in flashbacks?
I don't think so. I would hope so though, right? But wait till you hear this now. This isn't spoiler, so people watching don't think this is a spoiler who the killer is. This is just a fan theory that people are hoping would happen. So I know in the fourth one where the cop, Officer Judy, Deputy Judy, she mentioned she went to high school with Sydney. So the fan theory is that Sydney's boyfriend from the first one, Billy Loomis, who was the killer, he had ended up sleeping with Deputy Judy when they were in high school, and she got pregnant. And then now the kid, I guess, was either sent off or something to prepare to get his revenge for his dad's death by Sydney. And he's going to be the killer. Now, it's not a spoiler. It's just a fan theory. And I read that this morning. And I'm like, I need this theory to be legit.
Great.
Yeah, and there's another one that Stu Macher, the other killer in the first one, is not not dead, and he's gonna return as the killer in this one. But that one I think is out there. I think that one, I don't think that's gonna happen because Matthew Lillard posted as much on his Twitter that said that I'm coming for you, Sydney, or whatever on his Twitter. And if he's posting that, there's no way that's gonna happen because he has to be trolling because he can't spoil that biggest plot line that could ever happen.
No. So is this Scream number 4 or 5? Five.
Yep, this is the 5th one. Yep, and it's funny because the 4th one came out 10 years ago. Yep, and I believe Scream 4 came out. And
Courtney's coming back too.
Courtney's coming back too. Yep. I heard now again rumors because the script is so under wraps and is locked, like because they don't want any spoilers. But I heard.
And her ex-husband coming back too.
Yep, David Arquette's coming back. I heard that that one of the 3, Sydney, Gail, or Dewey, are gonna get killed. Now I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that one of them might get killed off. But they've been saying that for the last 3 films. So
yeah, well, it seems like that if you're about to have sex or you're going to have sex, you are going to get killed off in a film. Exactly. Isn't that true in that one?
It is in all of them, really, and that's the rules in the first one that Randy gave out. That if you do drugs, if you drink alcohol, if you have sex, and if you say "I'll be right back," you are not coming back. Yep.
So an actor looking at the scene says, "I'll be right back." Oh, I won't.
Absolutely. So they will not be back because you will be found dead in a gutter somewhere, is what he said. Oh, no. So that I'm excited for Scream 5. I want to see that. Probably not going to go opening night. I went opening night to Halloween Kills, and that got kind of crazy. But mainly because I was on crutches and broke my ankle at that time. I wanted to be Superman, and I decided to jump down seven steps and land it wrong on my ankle, and that didn't go well with me. So yeah, so maybe 6 steps is the limit, but. But yeah, so I would like to see Scream 5. I know I think that is going to be a good movie. I think it's going to really be good. And I can't wait to see what they do with the killer because usually when the killer's revealed, it's always a shock that makes you
yeah.
I think it's going to be fun. So the last question I got for you, do you have any other projects in the works that you would like to promote to the listening and the viewing audience?
Okay, I do.
Okay.
Hold on, wait a minute. I have, hold on. Okay, hold on. All right, so so during COVID, I was lucky enough to get into a lot of projects.
Okay.
So so in February, and then maybe it was March, I filmed Going West. And it's a zombie short. And that was with Morgan Flanagan, who is the writer, producer, and lead. And the director was Taylor McNillis and Matt Sharp. Do you know Matt Sharp?
I do. I had him on my show. Great guy.
He's in the film.
Nice.
Evelyn's Birthday Party is a comedy horror short.
Nice.
And that was filmed in Philadelphia, and Stephen Bueno. And that was very interesting. I played a mom in that, and very a quirky horror film. Yeah, I just gonna leave it like that. It's really good. I loved it. Awesome. I also did Hidden Ties, which is the working title, and that was Evan Smith was the writer director, and the producer was Saeed Rojas, and DP was Robert Ortega, and then Matt Sharp's in that, and so is Christine Oswald, and that had to do with a cult.
Okay.
And nice. I was a mom in that.
Nice. A lot of mom roles.
I know. I feel like I'm rocking the mom roles. And then I was in Shameless Women, which they're trying to do a pilot. Trying to do a series of pilot. And Rain Pryor is the lead in that. And the writer producer is Joan Floyd, and the director is Jay Gray, and I play the role of Girly. It's kind of a dancey, a group of women that come to the library to dance. And then then I just, in the summertime, I did Stained Glass with Gwendolyn McDowell, writer, producer, director, and it deals with issues of really depression, rape, and things like that, something that has to be, you know, addressed and stuff like that and seen. It was excellent. I played a nurse. And then I did, which was really interesting, I did Harford County Sheriff's Office. The girl, the contact was Crystal Hensel. It was an educational video for teens with Oxycontin addiction.
Nice. Okay.
And it was really, I love doing that. And that was like, they also had writing, plus they did improv, which I love that they allowed me to do that.
Nice.
And then before the pandemic, I did background for M. Night Shyamalan's Servant, the first season of that. And that was 2 weeks. And he built a sound. It was the first time I've ever been to a sound stage where he literally built Rittenhouse Square into a sound stage. And then I also did Glass, the last scene. I was featured in that for the train station. And then Walking Dead, right before the pandemic, I was The Walking Dead, The World Beyond. I was the stand-in for Silas's mom.
Nice, nice. Another mom role, but awesome. That's awesome though. That's a very good show. So I didn't notice that, but I'm gonna go back and see if I can find that episode, and I'm going to
I'm not in it. I was the stand-in.
Oh, you're just a stand-in. Okay. All right.
But it was something seeing. It was very interesting being the stand-in for that, because when I was like off, like I was in the area of the kitchen where it's shot, and they're talking like that, and I'm right behind the DP, and they're talking at the kitchen, and I'm like going, like just waiting to go in just so they get the lighting and stuff like that and come back out. So I'm like just waiting and waiting and waiting. I go, are they filming? And they go, yes. They were so quiet. I was like 10 feet away and I could barely hear the actors.
Wow.
They were that quiet.
Wow.
They were that quiet.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh so gosh. It's not stage. It's like talking like this.
Wow. Wow. But the like, microphones, they can pick that up easily.
Like, I mean, really, the sound people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if anybody wants to see what Penny is up to, it could be, if you're watching this interview, a year from now, and you're come across it and be like, hey, I wonder what she's up to now. You can check out her IMDb page to see any projects that she has going on. What Nikolai confirmed about Valentine Bluffs, if everything goes good with post-production, I will let you know that I will post whenever it's released. They're looking for I'm assuming a Valentine's Day release, I would assume. I think that's what Nikolai said. So hopefully all things go well, but in the crazy world of film, anything can happen at any given time. So hopefully there's no, hiccups or anything major that halts that release date. And you could check that out. I'll share it on my social media. Sure, Penny will share it on hers as well. And I thank you so much, Penny, for joining me. I had so much fun and had a great number of great laughs talking with you. It really was awesome, and I really had a blast. Talking horror films and Valentine Bluffs, and listening to basically the advice about acting, because that really can help out a lot of people that might be discouraged.
Yeah, definitely. Keep plugging away. You'll never know.
Absolutely. Well, you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Scotty. Thanks so much.
Yep,
great.
Bye.
Bye.